I can see it. Awesome. Dead face. Hey Josh, how are you?
I was actually born in Carrollton, Texas, which is north, I believe, of where we are, but not too far. I have no memories of that whatsoever. I moved when I was 2, I believe. I think I was still 2 years old. I was homeschooled for a lot of my years growing up. I'm one of 5 kids, so I've got 3 older siblings, 1 younger sibling. I've got 3 sisters, 2 older, 1 younger, and then an older brother. My older 2 cousins, so Kyle and Zach, Z-Freak and Melons, or Swindle Melons, or however many, they were the ones that were competing in a game called Han, which was a MOBA, like Dota. This is, one of the first sort of tail-offs of the mini-game. And so they got really into that, and they started getting really good. And of course, I watched, a decent amount of their matches, and I used to just play that. I wasn't good, but it was a lot of fun. And so I'd say that was where I had first seen the competition as like a real thing. And I'd recognize like, wow, okay, esports is pretty cool. At that time, it's very, very underdeveloped still. Like, to fly to Thailand for these tournaments and stuff, they're taking 2-day itineraries and on like the worst flights they can imagine, and they're buying their own food and lugging everything around themselves. But that was where I got a taste of it. So as I'm finishing up with school and my applications are all in and I'm about to go to school for engineering, I had gotten a call from Kyle, and he had asked me if I wanted to go cook for and live with the compLexity Dota team in their Florida team house.
Until it happened, I never really expected Josh to get into esports. We were going to move into a new team house, and from past experience, we knew that one of the hardest parts of living together is just in general a household. Like, it's kind of weird to have your roommates share a job with you. So things like cooking and cleaning and taking out the trash and all of these things that in a normal environment are the cause of arguments are now the cause of arguments on top of playing together in Dota. And to make it significantly easier to function in a 5 people in a house environment, we thought we needed somebody to kind of take a lot of that responsibility on. And what better place to look than your cousin?
Of course, my mom, from the very beginning, is like, oh my God, he's getting to travel. Go, 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 get out of here. Like, go to Florida. So, I packed all my bags and boarded my first ever flight in my life to go down to Florida and start cooking for the guys. And, that was a start of a real long journey. And I'm really, really thankful that I took that opportunity. I'm surrounded by awesome people, content dudes, the management team, like, for Beef specifically, for sort of, allowing this 17-year-old kid a chance. Because of course, when he first hears from Kyle that that's what he wanted to do, he was probably not for it. But, looking down the line, I think he's happy that I'm around here. But, I'm really thankful for a lot of the stuff that he's done for me. Cooking was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I, sort of spend other people's money to work on my hobby, which is really cool. And they all loved what I was doing. And, I had time to come up with my own recipes. But like cooking had been something that I did with my mom starting at like very, very young. Like I could say 4 and don't think I'm exaggerating. Like maybe even 5. It wasn't as much me helping her, but like she would be in the kitchen, cooking food. And I remember I used to sit on the floor in the kitchen. My mom would unload an entire drawer of like spoons, like wooden spoons, metal ones. And I would literally build like little catapults, or I'd build things out of all this stuff and sit on the floor and watch her cook. And so I'd like done that. And then eventually I got old enough, I'd start helping her cook, and then, cooking meals and things like that. And so that was always something that I did, growing up. But it was a hobby of mine. I would always, make my own breakfast and cook a lot of food and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. But that was, sort of secondhand. That wasn't really something I was prioritizing. But then when I had to drop sports and all that, I got a little bit more into that, heavy-handed. The thing was, when the team first started traveling to events, they went to these 2 events that I didn't actually tag along with while I was working with them. And so, I was sort of sitting there, I was just at the Florida house. That thing was enormous, and I was just solo and, getting it's kind of lonely. The idea, the company had been sort of growing at the time, and the idea of me sort of becoming a manager was sort of in the air. More so Beef is getting more and more responsibilities, and so he had needed sort of help. That was when I realized, like, this is amazing. I want to work with this team. I want to go out. I want to do these things, blah, blah, blah. And so then I tagged along like that a few events, as a gopher. And then eventually Beef had sort of posed the idea again, how do I feel about becoming the manager of the team? And, I was more open to it. I was like, okay, yeah, let's see what happens. And so he had started to essentially show me the ropes, show me everything started off with, scheduling. I took over like scrims. And then eventually I got the full-time responsibility not too long ago, probably about a year ago, maybe a bit more, maybe like a year and a half. Beef was at events at that time still, but I was sort of taking over that role. And then he got too busy, became like the sort of VP general manager of the company. And so then I took over 100% from then. And then shortly after, we all moved to Frisco, which was super exciting. As you can tell by this gorgeous view, and we're filming in my apartment and stuff like that. Like, I'm beyond thankful, and it's crazy experience. Seems like it probably lasted all of a few months, and yet here I am nearly 3 years later working with the same company. I
think the last 2 years have inevitably matured him. Josh kind of went from this kid fresh out of school and this impulsive teenager that wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do, but was like open to do anything, and then all of a sudden he's thrown into a situation where he's kind of the figure for people to look to for advice. And I'm sure he'll just continue to get himself more involved in the scene and eventually do something.
The ultimate goal, of me as a manager is to ensure that everybody that is sort of under my wing is, happy and healthy and striving to be, a better person each day. And the cool thing is they're all grown-ass men. They're all, capable of a bunch of things. So there's a lot of times for me, like, I have all these shortcomings, left and right as well. And I try to keep it to myself as much as I can, or, outside of the team, of course. But they're all great people, and they're almost always willing and to sort of go out of their way to assist me as well. And so it's sort of interesting, because one thing that I had realized is it's hard for me to separate, when it comes to these tougher times, to sort of maintain my role as a manager while also being a friend. If you can balance that, be both a good friend outside of your responsibilities and a good manager inside of them, I'd say that's like the most important part. Because you need to be close enough with your players that they are willing to open up and allow you to help them as a friend. But you also need to be straight and be blunt about some things and be like, this is what's going to happen. This is what we need to do for the org or for this event or for whatever. I love what I do. Honestly, there's not a thing I can think of off the top of my head that I would rather be doing than managing this team, working for this company. compLexity has done nothing but good by me. I really do love all the guys that I work with and for, and I'm really thankful to have the opportunity to share what I'm doing and why I'm doing it with a lot of people. And hopefully this helps give a little bit of insight and adds some legitimacy of esports to everybody watching. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon but up, and hopefully I'll be right there with it.
Alright, hey, wait. Before you go, okay, please just don't leave. Make sure you subscribe below. Check out the latest videos right up here.